Welcome back to the 2014 NHL Draft. So after all that trade talk, the top 5 goes essentially as expected. Maybe a couple players going in slightly different positions, but the top 5 going as the top 5. And the Vancouver Canucks and Jim Benning, who have made 3 trades already today, hold on to number 6 as they walk to the podium and make their announcement.
So a new GM, a new head coach in Vancouver. One of the problems for the Canucks, if you look at their current roster, the most recently drafted player who has 100 games in the NHL is Alexander Edler, who was picked in 2004.
They're going to go for size here. Size on the wing. Jake Virtanen from the Calgary Hitmen or Nick Ritchie from the Peterborough Pete's. Take your pick, but I'll tell you what, Virtanen's from Abbotsford, British Columbia, so pretty much a hometown boy there for the taking. I've got to believe they go west.
Jim Benning, longtime Boston Bruin assistant general manager, chief scout, ran a very good drafting program for the Bruins.
And don't forget, he also drafted in Buffalo, where they took a player by the name of Tyler Myers.
We would like to thank the Philadelphia Flyers for the wonderful hospitality this week. Our thoughts are with longtime Vancouver Canuck fan favorite Gino Odjick. With our first selection, we select from the WHL Calgary Hitman, Jake Virtanen.
On the mend from shoulder surgery. Doesn't anticipate that's going to be a problem. He's healing quickly. He's pure power. Speed, drives the net, big shot, ability to score goals. In his 45 goals this year, we're tied for second amongst all the elite draft eligible. So he knows how to put the puck in the net. Scouts wonder a little bit about the lack of creativity, but that's not his game. He's a straight line player that gets over the blue line, drives the net, and scores goals.
So much of the time we hear about upside and potential, and Jake Virtanen has a ton of upside and a ton of potential. So you're the Vancouver Canucks. He's a local kid. There is absolutely no other way to go if you believe in his upside, because he can skate, he can shoot, and he's got an edge to his game as well.
He can create separation, Craig. You couldn't be more right in terms of the acceleration thing, and the escapability is something as a bigger player that's really going to help him. And he's got the chance to grow. He's 205 pounds now. He's probably going to play at 215. You can see Bob talking about the shoulder surgery. But one of the things that I really liked about his game is ability to pull away from players and establish time and space for himself.
NHL Central Scouting ranked him as first in physical play and second in overall skating amongst all North American prospects.
By the way, the Ontario Hockey League and the Western Hockey League have alternated the first 6 picks in this draft. The O, the dub, the O, the dub, the O, the dub.
Well, I can tell you this, the Quebec League's not going to get in here except with 2 Europeans, Nikolai Ehlers and Ivan Barbashev. Other than that, they'll be shut out of the first round.
I think you gotta like how aggressive Jim Benning's been so far, and for the fact that Virtanen falls into their lap with this pick is huge news for them in terms of having an aggressive program going forward.
When we talk about Sam Bennett and what pull-up or no pull-ups at the Combine, Jake Virtanen out 4 to 6 months with the shoulder surgery. It just shows you these are young men. They need time to grow, and Sam Bennett will get stronger, Jake Virtanen will heal.
You know, they often talk about the draft for NFL teams, and of course here in Philadelphia they focus on it a lot. Imagine if NFL teams had to draft 18-year-olds and try to figure out who'd be the best at age 22.
Well, you'd be taking guys out of high school.
So when you talk about goal scoring, Nikolai Ehlers in Halifax led all draft-eligible players with 49 in North America, but Virtanen tied for second with Fabry at 45 each. So this is a big-time goal scorer. Probably not right away, but down the line. And here he is with James Duthie.
First BC-born first-rounder taken by the Vancouver Canucks since Cam Neely way back in 1983. Congratulations, Jake Virtanen. A Vancouver boy, you wore Marcus Naslin's number as a tribute growing up. I'm sure you pondered this possibility when you looked at where you stood in all the rankings, but did you ever think it would actually come true and you'd play for Vancouver?
Yeah, you know, growing up watching the Vancouver Canucks, it's an amazing honor, and you know, it's surreal for me right now. I'm still trying to soak it in, and it's amazing. I can't wait, and I know Vancouver is a great organization, and it's just a complete honor.
Central Scouting gave you almost a perfect report card as a hockey player. The numbers really impressive. First in physical play, second in skating, fourth in competitiveness, fifth in puck skills. Is this the all-around game you hope to bring to Vancouver in the NHL?
Absolutely. I think I'm going to, obviously come to Vancouver and, try to be a complete player. And, obviously I still have things to improve on like every other player, and I'm really looking forward to it.
So what's going to be the tougher job? You playing in your hometown in the NHL, or your dad as an air traffic controller at Vancouver Airport?
I got to give my dad the air traffic controlling. He's a pretty laid-back guy, but he does a great job of it.
Jake Virtanen, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Jake Virtanen becomes the newest member of the Vancouver Canucks, who hold on to that pick at number 6. Extremely busy day for Jim Benning already. 3 trades before he even arrived at the draft floor. He keeps his selection at number 6 and makes it with the local kid, Jake Virtanen. And the new general manager of the Vancouver Canucks joins us right now. Man, busy day for only day number 36 on the job for you. Let's start with the pick. Why Jake?
Well, he's got the meanness, the ruggedness. He's a powerful skater. He's got a good shot. So we're trying to change the culture of our team a little bit, and I think he's just another piece to that puzzle.
There were a lot of reports that you had tried to get up to that number 1 pick today. How valid was the attempt, and how close did you get?
Well, we've talked to Dale over the course of the last 3 weeks, but at the end of the day, he decided he was going to keep it and make the pick. So we were happy with, being in the 6th slot, and we feel like we got a real good player.
The Ryan Kesler move, obviously your biggest of the day. Explain the move from your end and what you got back.
Well, we get Nick Bonino back, who will help us on the power play. We get Lucas Spiza back, who we've watched for last 3 or 4 years. We think he'll be a rugged, stay-at-home defenseman, and the 24th pick in the draft, where we feel we're going to get a good player.
What are we in the midst of here? Because a lot of moves. Is this a retool or a rebuild, or how do you characterize it?
No, we're adding pieces that we feel that we can win with going forward. So, Ryan had asked to be traded when I took over as a GM. We tried to accommodate him the best we can, and I think it turned out we did all right in that trade.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
To Carolina at number 7.
There are 6 new GMs in the league since the end of the regular season. There's Rod Brindamore, who hand off to Ron Francis. Francis, one of those 6.
They'd like a defenseman here.
Here's a popular former Flyer.
On behalf of the Carolina Hurricanes, we would also like to thank the Philadelphia Flyers. And their enthusiastic, wonderful fans for supporting and putting on this year's draft. With the 7th pick in the 2014 NHL entry draft, the Carolina Hurricanes are extremely proud to welcome, from the Red Deer Rebels, Hayden Flurry.
So just to clarify, here's how it's gone so far in the draft. Ontario League, West-West. Ontario, West-West.
Hayden Flurry from Carlisle, Saskatchewan. A big defenseman, 6'3", 204. But what really separates him from a lot of guys that size is he's got outstanding elite level skating ability. Now, there are some teams in this draft who believe that Hayden Flurry has a greater offensive upside and has a dynamic quality to his game that Aaron Ekblad doesn't have. That Aaron Ekblad's game is far more complete, but that Hayden Flurry has a chance to make a really big impact. Now, he hasn't shown pure offensive ability, and he hasn't been a physically punishing guy, but Brent Sutter in Red Deer believes that he does have the tools to elevate in both of those areas.
Thank Mark Stahl. And every team would like to have a Mark Stahl on their team. Hayden Flurry, to your point, Bob, exceptional skater. And that skating is going back for pucks. It's getting the puck transition, and he will jump into the attack. The biggest thing with Hayden Flurry, the bigger the moment, the more critical the moment, he was always there to step up.
He's the biggest guy on the stage right now.
Yeah, well, you know the one, he's taller than Ronnie Francis, who's about 6'3". The biggest thing about this player, though, coming out of the Red Deer program, they've had 11 first-round picks in Red Deer. He's the 12th. All of the previous 11 have played in the National Hockey League. He's a tremendous talent. He can skate, as Bob and Craig have talked about. He can play in a shutdown role. He can produce offense. But it's a skill development that he will experience in Red Deer that'll push him over the top.
All right, Carolina Hurricanes at the number 7 spot. Lots going on the floor. Here's Darren Dreger.
All right, Gord, thanks very much. The Toronto Maple Leafs scheduled to pick 8. That's coming up next. Dave Nonis, the general manager, has spent the last couple of days here in Philadelphia trying to generate some action. He said that he was willing today to move down. He wasn't willing to go below 12, so 4 spots, but he's not going to be able to pull that off. The Toronto Maple Leafs will select 8. Now, Nonis also spoke to Dale Talon of the Florida Panthers about the first pick overall earlier in the week. Talon's message to the Toronto Maple Leafs was simple. You're not going to like the players that I'm going to have to pick off your roster. So that pretty much ended the talks, Gord.
All right, so we've talked about what's happened so far through the top 7 picks. It's been dominated by 2 major junior leagues in Canada, the Ontario Hockey League and the Western Hockey League. And here's the alternating picks for the Maple Leafs. When you look at them, defense and forwards. Luke Shed, now a Philadelphia Flyer, kicks it off in 2008. By the way, since the NHL entry draft began in 1969, the Toronto Maple Leafs have not drafted a single player who's gone on to be named the NHL Rookie of the Year. There you go. So they're looking to improve their draft fortune somewhat.
Really interesting decision here. You got Peterborough Pete, Nick Ritchie, a real big power winger, almost like a young Brendan Shanahan in many respects. But there's also some highly skilled players on the board here. William Nylander from Sweden, Nikolai Ehlers from the Halifax Mooseheads, the Dane. And I think the Toronto Maple Leafs are having a lot of internal debate as to whether to go big and strong and physical or to go for the much more fine, highly skilled players like Ehlers or Nylander. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's to the other side, the skill side. Not that Ritchie doesn't have skill, he's a big man.
Nikolai Ehlers is a big-time skilled player, and he not only played with Jonathan Drouin, he has a game that's very similar to Jonathan Drouin. So if you're looking at trying to add a dynamic, skilled player, Nikolai Ehlers is all of that and more.
Here's interesting discussion at the table. Brendan Shanahan, the new president of the Maple Leafs, appears to be staying at the table.
Yeah, he lets the general manager be the general manager. One other player the Leafs were very high on was Dylan Larkin, who played for the U.S. program, a strong two-way center. So we'll see what they've got here.
And Larkin's going to be going to the University of Michigan, so he's going to a high-end program.
Dave Morrison is Toronto's chief scout. He's in the middle in the gray suit. And Dave Nonis will step to the podium.
First of all, I'd like to thank our fans for attending our draft party at Real Sports, and all the wonderful people in Philadelphia Flyers. Toronto is proud and happy to select from Modo, Sweden, William Nylander.
If the name sounds familiar, it should. This is the son of Michael Nylander, who you see there hugging his son, who was a terrific offensive player in the National Hockey League for a long time. And so our first player from Europe, from a European team draft, that we saw Draisaitl as a European playing in North America get picked.
Well, William Nylander was born in Calgary, played hockey throughout North America growing up. But here's the thing with William Nylander. Celebrate him for what he is. He's an unbelievable creative player. He's got confidence that belies his size and his age. And he's got the chops to pull it off. He doesn't shy away from anything. He'll try one play that may not work. He'll come right back and try it again. Great quickness, great explosiveness. If you're playing with him, though, he's not just a shooter. You better be ready to get the puck, because he sees things most players don't.
Yeah, I had the privilege of coaching his father, and his father had the same kind of skills. His father had eyes all around his head, and there you see Michael Nylander, who actually played with his son a little bit with Rogala this year. But the one thing I'll tell you about Michael Nylander, and I think it's transcended to the son, unbelievable self-confidence. And that's one thing this player has, amazing self-confidence.
One scout told me he's the most skilled player available in the draft. He can embarrass you with his skill level, but the question is he prepared to play a team game? He has played such an individual game. He wasn't really a prime consideration for the Swedes at the World Junior Championship because a lot of the kids that play alongside him, they have a tough time reading off of him because he holds onto the puck so much. But there's no questioning the skill or the ability to put the puck in the net. One scout said he's the anti-Swede. In Sweden, where there's almost an undisputed rule where everybody in the ice has to touch the puck once before it goes in the net, socialism at its finest, William Nylander's like, I might be the best option here. I'm just going to take it and do it myself.
His father was the same way. He comes by it honestly.
He said, my dad was a great playmaker, but I'm a shooter. I like to shoot the puck more than my dad did.
He can shoot it, Gord.
His dad played for 6 NHL teams, and now his son has been drafted. By the way,
they played together.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah, for Rogla.
Michael's only 41 years of age, so still looking good. And so William Nylander is selected 8th overall by Toronto. James?
All right, thank you very much, Gord. Well, born in Canada and now coming back to begin his professional hockey career in Canada. What does it mean to you to be drafted by a team in a country where hockey matters so much?
No, it's going to be really fun. Try to take a spot on the team. I think it was nerve-wracking sitting up there during the last 8 picks, so it was fun being picked.
You love Patrick Kane. I know you tweeted about him during the playoffs. I think the hashtag was unreal. Is his the type of game you hope to bring to the NHL?
He's that type of player that I really like a lot. It's hard to play exactly like him. He's an amazing player, so he's a player that I really like.
I want you guys to stand by for 1 second. We'll get back to William and Dave Nonis, but Gord Miller, you have a trade for us.
We do. It's a pretty big one. The Pittsburgh Penguins have traded James Neal to the Nashville Predators. We're waiting to see what's involved in the deal. Nashville scheduled a pick at number 11. Well, Pittsburgh has the 22nd overall pick in this draft. You'd have to think that the first-round pick is involved, but right now, no details, Bob.
I don't know what the details are, but we do know that James Neal is a member of the Nashville Predators. Jim Rutherford trying to free up some salary cap space on the Pittsburgh Penguins to give himself some maneuverability, and this is the beginning of the makeover of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin will continue to be the core there, but David Poile and the Nashville Predators desperately need goal-scoring ability, and the Pittsburgh Penguins are looking for flexibility and cap space.
Let's go back to James.
All right, so it was James Neal to Nashville, just in case you wanted to get filled in on the details. What was it? What was going back the other way? I didn't get all I was too busy worrying about you. Well, are you interested in being drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs more than that right now? Hey, listen, before we leave you, you have a lot in common with your dad, except for one thing, the hair. I think we have video evidence of this. Is this the most striking difference between you and your father? Look at that flow, and then you had to get it from your mom's side, or what?
I hope I still keep it from my mom so it doesn't go away. So hope to keep it.
Listen, congratulations. Dave Nonis, you look like you had a long discussion there at the table. In the end, what was the difference that made you select William?
Well, we had a couple of people that we were very interested in taking. He was at the top of the list. And it's funny, William was with us this morning for about an hour. And when he was leaving, I said, you look great in blue and white. And if you're there, we're taking you. We had talked to a few teams of moving down, but if he was there, we were going to pick him. We were pretty fortunate he was there for us.
ETA for him being in the Toronto Maple Leafs lineup from your end?
You know, I think it's pretty difficult for an 18-year-old to crack the lineup in any team, but he'll be given an opportunity to come in and play next year. If he's good enough and he has a good enough summer, then I wouldn't be shocked if he's playing in Toronto next season. If he needs more time, then we'll take our time.
Well, listen, congratulations. Thanks for your patience while Gord and the boys broke that deal. William Nylander, drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Winnipeg Jets are on their way to the stage.
Here's the latest, by the way, in the Pittsburgh trade. We believe it's Patrick Hornquist and Nick Spaulding.
That's correct. That's
going back the other way for James Neal. No draft picks involved, Bob?
No, the Nashville Predators tweeted that out. So Patrick Hornquist, a goal-scoring winger, to replace James Neal. Spaulding, a guy that can help with the depth issues that the Pittsburgh Penguins have been, lack of depth issues that the Penguins have been dealing with.
Now here's the Winnipeg Jets coming up. GM Kevin Cheveldayoff. This franchise has drafted in the top 10 6 times now in the last 7 years.
Again, Winnipeg Jets have the same choices Toronto Maple Leafs had. Do you go skill or do you go big with skill? Nikolai Ehlers from the Halifax Mooseheads available. Nick Ritchie from the Peterborough Petes. Take your pick. One's a power forward, one's all speed and skill. I think speed and skill in the form of Ehlers is likely to win out here.
And here's Cheveldayoff.
On behalf of the Winnipeg Jets, we'd like to thank the great fans of Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Flyers, the city of Philadelphia for a wonderful experience here this week. I'd like to say hello to our passionate fans back in Winnipeg, especially those at the draft party at the MTS Center. Winnipeg Jets are excited to select from Halifax of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, Nikolai Ehlers.
So here's a Dane who plays for Halifax in the Quebec Major Junior League, the first Quebec Major Junior League player to be drafted in this first round, goes 9th overall to the Winnipeg Jets.
The dashing Dane, the Danish Drouin. That's what you could call him. He has no fear in his game. And that fear, that lack of fear, tell you what, he does it offensively during the playoffs, right in the guts of the action. Big plays when it matters. He can pull away from players. He's got magic hands, and I think there was an osmosis going on playing with Jonathan Drouin at Halifax.
Well, he's just a shade under 6 feet tall. He's only 160 pounds, which prompted one scout to tell me he needs to put on 20 pounds to be small, but he is a dynamic offensive talent. It's all about speed and skill. I talked to Dominique Ducharme, the head coach of the Halifax Mooseheads. What's the difference between he and Drouin? And he says Drouin has a lot of different changes of pace. Drouin has maybe better hands and playmaking ability, but the speed and skill and just the all-out speed and skill of this guy driving across the blue line and driving to net to score goals and make plays is maybe even a little more dynamic than Drouin in that way.
And one thing that's interesting, before he actually came to the Quebec Major Junior League, during the work stoppage last season, he had a chance to skate with Patrick Kane and Tyler Seguin in Switzerland. And there's a lot of comparisons between him and Patrick Kane in terms of how elusive they are when they have the puck in their stick, and their body types are very similar.
Well, he has that speed, too, that Bob talks about, but he also knows how to explode with that speed when he sees the opening. So it becomes really difficult for defenders to get a gauge on that speed and to stop him, because when he explodes, he's usually by you.
Played with Patrick Kane and Tyler Seguin during the lockout in Switzerland.
It's okay, Bob.
He's just confirming it.
He's just running it up. I like it.
But what a rookie year for this young man with the Quebec Major Junior League's Halifax Mooseheads. Of all the CHL prospects, he had the most goals. He scored 49. He led the CHL at plus 65 and was the CHL Rookie of the Year. Here's the announcement from Gary Bettman at the podium of the Nashville-Pittsburgh trade.
Trades Patrick Hornquist and Nick Spoiling to Pittsburgh in exchange for James Neal. Tenth selection in the 2014 entry draft belongs to the Anaheim Ducks.
They don't hate the trade, they hate Pittsburgh. Let's go to James.
And they hate James Neal.
Nikolai was staring hard at that board. I won't make your TV debut analyzing the James Neal trade, but listen, you tore it up, as the guys were saying in the queue last year. 49 goals, the most for a rookie since Crosby. Do you think you're ready this coming season to be in the National Hockey League?
I think it depends on the NHL team. I mean, I want to play in the NHL as soon as possible, but I think I know that it's possible that they're going to send me back to Halifax next year, and I'll take that as a challenge, and I think I can still develop a lot in Halifax.
Craig Button calls you the Danish Jonathan Drouin. How do you like those comparisons to your Mooseheads teammate?
Well, I love it. He's a great hockey player, and just being compared to him is amazing, so I'm just happy to sit here right now, and yeah.
Congratulations. The sweater and the hat look good on you.
Thank you.
Nikolai Ehlers becomes the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets and the second highest drafted Denmark player in the history of the National Hockey League. Michael Bodker went at number 8 in 2008. The general manager of the Winnipeg Jets is Kevin Cheveldayoff. What did you like about Nikolai Ehlers that made him your choice?
Well, there's a lot of things to like about him. He's a dynamic player. He's got great speed through the neutral zone. He can make plays on the fly. He can make plays in his own zone. through the interview process, obviously those are the things you see when you watch him play, but through the interview process, you could just see he just loves to play the game, and he's so passionate about it.
This Evander Kane trade speculation just won't go away, and there was another thing on Twitter yesterday where we favorited a tweet advocating his trade to Philadelphia. Where does that stand right now?
It's obviously this is a very fluid time with respect to lots of rumors and lots of different things. It's a crazy time when you add in the different things that come up there. But you know what? It's part of the process, I guess. But today is the draft day, and we're certainly very excited about drafting the player that we did. And whether there's trades or other things to come with respect to our team, we're going to look at doing whatever we possibly can to improve the Winnipeg Jets.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Kevin Cheveldayoff, the general manager of the Winnipeg Jets. Nikolai Ehlers is their draft pick. They've done so well in years past, right around this number with Mark Scheifele, Jake Trouba. They hope Ehlers fits into that pattern right now. The Ottawa Senators traded their pick to Anaheim last year in the Bobby Ryan deal. Anaheim on the clock.
This is the first traded pick in this National Hockey League draft. By the way, Anaheim is picked in the first round every year since 1999. The Ducks don't trade their first round pick, and sitting here is Nick Ritchie of Peterborough, who was rated number 6 in the TSN rankings. So
I've got to believe they take him. I mean, the Anaheim Ducks just went through a playoff series where they lost the Los Angeles Kings, and that's a very big squad. And the Kessler trade is to address playing against the LA Kings. And I realize that Nick Ritchie may not be able to step in to the National Hockey League immediately, but to get that big a body that has that much skill level, I think it's a no-brainer for Bob Murray and the Ducks.
Henry Samuela, the owner's got the sweater tucked under his arm, making sure he hides the name. So not his first rodeo at the NHL draft. The Ducks did very well in 2010. They hit a home run in 2010 when they got Emerson Edom. They got Devontae Smith-Pelly. It just seems like Anaheim in recent years has drafted its way into the elite. They also got Cam Fowler in that draft. It just seems like Anaheim has become one of those elite drafting teams, Greg.
Well, and that's why they were able to make the trade for Ryan Kessler without harming their long-term future or even their short-term future because of the strong drafting.
Bob Murray, their GM, named the NHL General Manager of the Year.
There's Mr. Samuele, the owner of the team, with a sweater in his hand.
And here comes the pick.
The Anaheim Ducks are proud to select from the Peterborough Petes, Nick Ritchie.
That's why he's the GM of the year. Make the pick and go.
The scouts say the serious button has got to go off on this guy, and if it does, he's going to be an absolute monster. Well, he already started to show signs of that this season. 39 goals, 74 points for the Peterborough Petes. Had a very strong playoff when the Petes got down 3-0 in the series against the Kingston Frontenacs. It was Nick Ritchie and some of the other guys and the veterans on the team who stepped up and rallied them to win 4 straight games, and he was a force playing against Sam Bennett in the Kingston Frontenacs. This is a guy that when he would have been the first overall pick in the OHL minor midget draft, but Aaron Ekblad was given exceptional status. He dropped to number 2. In his first 2 years in Peterborough, inconsistent, injuries, a seeming lack of effort at times, but he really started to put his game together, and he looks like the trajectory is that this guy could be a dominant power forward that has the ability to score a lot of goals in the NHL. Growing up in Toronto, he was always the best kid in his age group.
Well, he's a big man. He can already skate at the NHL level. He's got an NHL shot. We know he's got NHL size, but Bob, as you point out, the consistency. That's just maturity. When you put him in an organization like Anaheim, who will help him grow, will help him get better as a player, those are things that you can work with. A big man that can skate and shoot, those are prizes.
He weighs 226 pounds. It's not like he's a small guy. He's the heaviest of all the top prospects.
Well, he's bigger than Jim Stanley at the end there, whose nickname is House.
Big House.
So here are the top 5 goal scorers among CHL prospects. And you see Ritchie trailing only Virtanen, Fabry, and Ehlers, who are all considered elite goal scorers. So Ritchie goes to Anaheim. That closes the books on the Bobby Ryan trade. Let's send it back to James Duffy.
All right, thank you very much, guys. Might be a wait for Marc Bergevin if he doesn't move up. He's the last Canadian team at number 26, but it's Nashville just pulling off that trade. Now they're up next at number 11 after this on the draft.
Leon Draisaitl. Sam Bennett. Jake Virtanen.
William Nylander.
Nikolai Ehlers.